trying to talk to you in the last 2 or 3 days is to make, one of the major purposes is that to make your presentations in the classroom or in anywhere. I mean, for example, you have to go to the conferences or making presentation anywhere more effective. And let me share with you that many industries are also looking for these skills, presentation skills to the students. Normally we treat presentation skills in a very, very narrow perspective, that let us say in a formal setting I have to go and make a presentation, maybe in a classroom, maybe in a seminar, or maybe in a meeting and all that. But presentation is much more beyond that. When we say presentation, how I present myself in any situation. It may be a formal situation or it may be an informal situation. How I present myself. My whole verbal and non-verbal communication to the people with whom I am interacting is my presentation skills. How I present myself in a marriage party, for example, or a meeting with the friends, or a formal meeting in the office, or maybe a formal presentation on a topic. And in the industries, the students have to make presentations about the various projects they are engaged into. They have to report, and they have to, sometimes the oral reports are in the form of presentations also. And in the industries, the employees are asked to make the presentation to the clients. There can be clients of the further some other industry also, or clients who are your consumers basically. So you have to make the presentations, and when your potential employers, they come for the selections at the campus interviews, they see to it that your students have proper presentation skills. And my dear friends, through this session we'll try to share some of our experiences on presentation skills, by which your own presentation skills in the classroom, in the conferences will also improve, and you can impart this then knowledge to the students, these skills to the students whose presentation skills will also improve. So let me at the very outset give you an outline, and before that you just see this slide. The goal of any presentation skills is to get applause. The people should be interested and people should like your presentation, and the work, the purpose for which you are making a presentation should be fulfilled. It is said that a good orator can speak on anything. A good orator can speak on anything, a great one on nothing. If your presentation skills are very good, even if there is no substance with you, even then you can make a mark on the audience. But I am saying this in a lighter way a little bit, but then your presentation skills make a lot of difference. People are more cautious many times on not on the content but how you are presenting it. There should be always a substance, but a good orator, a great orator can always make a presentation even if he has no substance in that. And a bad orator can make a very good contents also in a very bad way also. The outlines, I will be preparation and practice, how to prepare for a presentation and how to practice. Tone and body language. I will be skipping some of these slides on the tone and body language because my next lecture by Dr. S.P. Bedi is on the non-verbal communication, and about the tone, most of it has been covered by Madam Archana R. Singh in her lecture on articulation and pronunciation, but we will be covering some important aspects related to the presentation skills also. Then perfect PowerPoint, flip charts and whiteboards. Sometimes we don't have the PowerPoint, but we have the flip charts and we also have the whiteboards, especially in the classroom situations. Facing nervousness and fears. Dealing with the questions and interruptions. So this is broadly I'm going to cover in my presentations on how to make an effective presentation. Let me start my presentations by 4 important quotations which will give you the whole substance of the my session here. The first one is taken by by me from Mark Twain, who is an authority in the English literature. He says it takes more than 3 weeks to prepare a good impromptu speech. Even for an extempore speech, it requires 3 weeks preparation. Preparation and practice are the key to any presentation skills. So Mark Twain emphasized on that. Then another one from, again, an authority in the, a very popular figure in the English literature, George Bernard Shaw. He said, the biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it has been accomplished. We make presentation in the classroom and we assume that the students are perceiving in the same spirit and letter in which we are trying to convey to them. This is the biggest illusion, according to even G.B. Shaw also. The third quotation I have taken is by W.B. Yeats. He said, I always think a great speaker convinces us not by force of reasoning, but because he is visibly enjoying the beliefs he wants us to accept. If you just read it very carefully, it's trying to point out that if I am having a strong conviction and convinced internally myself about the things which I want to present to my audience, the people will be convinced about it, not by the logical reasons and all that stuff. Of course, they will be also helpful. Then the fourth quotation I have taken again from Mark Twain. He said, better to keep your mouth shut and appear ignorant than open it and remove all doubts. So if you have nothing to present, it is better to keep your mouth shut and let the people keep guessing whether you know the subject or no. But once you do not know the subject and you open your mouth, you say blah blah blah, people will understand that you do not know anything. So let us try to now gather the morals from all the four quotations. Point to be noted in all the four quotes. Number one is preparation and practice. As Mark Twain said, even for an impromptu speech, you have to have 3 weeks of preparation and practice. Communication skills, we say, skills can be learned only through practice. And making a presentation is also a skill. And that also requires a lot of preparation and practice. Then good communication. This is what we can gather from the second quote. Then conviction. You should be having a very strong conviction, convinced about the things you want to present within your own self. Then the fourth is be substantial, as Mark Twain said in the fourth quote. So if you remember these four paramount principles in your mind about making a good preparation, that will go a long way in improving your presentation skills. Preparation and practice, good communication, conviction, and being substantial when you're making a presentation. Now let me go further on what makes a good presentation. If possible, try to make your audience into different groups of homogeneous nature. Many times we have an audience of different types. There can be audience, the difference can be in their genders, from the background they are coming from, or from the different branches. For example, in the audience which you are right now, there in the different centers, you are coming from different, some people from the management side, some people are from the engineering side, and in the engineering also, you are having different kinds of streams from where you are coming from. Some are some civil, mechanical, electrical, computers, electronics, and all that. So if it's possible for you, try to group the students and understand what makes a presentation good. The whole session is devoted on that. We must understand very well what are the things which make the presentation very good and effective. Then something to think about. Those things are the presenter himself, the resources available with the presenter, how to use those resources very effectively, and then the structure of the presentation. divide into the groups, understand very well the mechanism and the nitty-gritties of making a good presentation, and then think about yourself when you are making a presentation, the resources available with you, and the structure. Now coming to the presenter, resources and structure. Now if you see this slide, on the left hand side, this is the presenter, and he has with him the rostrum or the podium, what we call it. For example, in front of me also right now, there is a rostrum. And my dear friends, let me just very briefly tell you that the purpose of rostrum is not to hang on it or not to hold it very tightly. The purpose of the rostrum is, if you are carrying some material with you, just gently place that material there. You see in this the upright posture, and how he is not leaning on the rostrum. I have seen in many situations when people make the presentation, they just lean on the rostrum. Karan, परम ऊपर कोई है? ऊपर कोई है ऊपर? Okay, we need not lean like this. This is a very, you can see yourself how it looks like, and you sometimes people hold it very tightly, as if it's going to go away somewhere. And the best posture is to stand erect like this, and you can use the rostrum for the purpose of placing something. And if there's a microphone available, the PA system is available with you. The best position to keep the PA system is to keep it should point towards your chin. And as ma'am was telling yesterday on the session on articulation and pronunciation, we blow air when we are trying to speak certain words or phrases. When we speak, we blow air. And many times people make a mistake. They keep the microphone pointed towards your mouth. Then when somebody is listening to you, your blow of the air will also be listened. And in the microphone, it gets amplified and people feel uneasy. They say, ऐसे करके आवाज आती है बाद में. So best way is point it towards the chin, and distance should be maintained from the proper distance has to be maintained depending on the sensitivity of the microphone. And make sure that if you are using a PowerPoint projection system or things like that, or the whiteboard or the flip chart, they are in order. And then structure of the presentation. We will go in the details of the structure of the presentation also. How you are structuring your presentation, what should come in the introduction, what should come in the main presentation part, and what should come in the conclusion. Now, before I go in the details, let me tell you the ethics of being a good speaker. Very, very simple things, but very important. We have to note it down and always remember this. Be prepared. Do not let the audience have a feeling that you have just come like that. You have not prepared very well for the presentation. Be prepared is one of the first ethics of a good speaker. Be accurate and honest. If you are taking some material from some source, be honest in acknowledging that. Or if you do not know about anything, that also should be acknowledged very well, and be honest and be very accurate. Whatever things you want to convey, be accurate, be authentic about that. The third is reveal your sources. Give credit where it is due. The fourth ethic is be on time. Simple, but very, very important. You must be aware about the ethics of a good speaker. Now, a lot has been said on the preparation part. What goes in the preparation? Preparation is the key. The key message. Normally in a presentation, there should be one key message. There can be more than one key messages in some of the presentation, especially in the classroom when you are touching different topics. But in generally speaking, you are always revolving around the key message, which should be properly framed, and everything in presentation should try to point towards that key message. Then be aware about the audience. Know who your target audience is, whom you are addressing, their objectivity. I mean, what is their purpose of listening to you? You should be meeting that. in your key message, then be conscious about the time available with you. Then the resources, we have talked about that. These all goes in the preparation, that key message, audience, analysis, time available with you, and the resources available with you, and close or conclusion part. How you are going to close, how you are going to conclude the presentation is a very important aspect of the preparation. Structuring the presentation and checklist. You can have a mental checklist or physical checklist on the piece of paper, how to structure the presentation. There are normally 3 sections to the structure: introduction, information, and recapitulation. Normally in a presentation, we try to conclude by recapitulating what has been done during the presentation, besides the conclusion remarks. So introduction, information, and recapitulation are the 3 important aspects of structuring the presentation. Prepare everything you need in advance, not leave everything on the last moment. This is a very important aspect of making a good presentation. When you are preparing a presentation and rehearsing it, if your presentation is having some time with you, have time with you, do not keep postponing it. Make a first draft right from the day one. Even if your presentation is after 1 month or after 2 weeks or 1 week, make the presentation today itself. Start preparing it today itself. Keep adding, keep editing, keep deleting, keep modifying it as per the ideas which you keep on getting. Prepare everything you need in advance. Whatever things you require PowerPoint presentation system, or you require flip charts, or you require whiteboard, whatever things, or you require a microphone, or you require some other material for engaging your audience into some kind of activities. All things should be listed and should be arranged well in advance. Then check on the day that everything works. You should be the first one to be reaching there, and in advance you try to check it out. Maybe it is a good idea to check it out 1 day in advance, so that you have time. If there are some lapses here and there, you can bridge those gaps, and those lapses can be taken care of. Check in advance. I have seen, in our institute also, we call experts from different organizations, and some of the good presenters, they will make a lot of preparation work, and they normally try to come at least 1 week before, or sometimes even one day before again, to check out that whatever things they're going to require for making the presentation is available and is in order and is in working order or not. Preparing the contents, 3 A's are very important. Analyze your audience. First A stands for audience. The second A stands for action. Define what action you want them to take, the purpose of your presentation, what you want them to do after your presentation. Be conscious of that. Your key message will revolve around that only. Then arrange your argument to move them. So in preparing the contents, these 3 A's are very, very helpful. Analyze the audience, define what action, the objectives of your presentation, and arrange the arguments, how you are going to go about to convince them what they have to learn through your presentation. Now, analyze your audience. You understand it very well. What are their names, titles, backgrounds, reasons for attending, etc. Try to gather this information. What are their big concerns about the issues which you are going to present? What are their objectives, fears, hot buttons, and attitudes? Try to gather as much as information and analyze these things. And then, what is their perception of you and your institution and organization? Do they know you already, or you have to be introduced? Do they know your organization from where you're coming, or you may have to give a brief about that? And how they look at it. What are their questions likely to be? Try to anticipate the questions. There can be some questions from that kind of audience. Then what is the personally at stake for them? Unka stake kya hai? It is not your agenda, it is their agenda always. In communication, in every kind of communication, it is their agenda, their perspective of the issues. then how much detail do they need? This is when you try to analyze the audience, try to find out how much detail do they need. Some of the things you may introduce, some of the things you may refer them, and they can explore them by themselves. So within the time frame, you can work on these things also. Then define what action do you want the audience to take. Define in terms of the audience, not in your own terms, but in the terms of the audience. What will they feel, believe, and do after hearing your talk? After hearing you, what they will feel, what they will start believing, and what they will do after hearing your talk. I will give you a sample, an example also, a sample presentation also in a short while from now, in which we have done all these things. Then arrange your arguments. The third A, shake hands physically or develop rapport mentally with the audience. If it is possible, at least a small section of the audience, if it is possible, if you are in person making a presentation, shake hands with some of them, if not with all of them, some of them, so that they are able to relate you with them, and make a rapport mentally. Take the audience with you. Get to the point. Do not keep on beating about the bush. Present your theme. Now, this fourth point is very important for all of us to understand. Tell them what you want to tell. First of all, tell them what you want to tell. Why you are here. Tell them very clearly in first few seconds only. Then tell them that you have told them. After making a presentation, tell them what you have told them. So I am trying to emphasize the two important aspects of presentation here. Number one is tell them objectives of your presentation, what you are going to present, and then towards the end, when you are concluding, tell them what you have told them. Recapitulate for them what you have told. So tell them what you want to tell, and tell them that you have told them. Then develop your agenda point by point. Go in a very, very structured and a very, very systematic way, making the arguments so that they can understand. Build up your presentation point by point. Then summarize and recommend. You can summarize and make a recommendation what has to be done. Practice, my dear friends. We have been emphasizing on this issue over and over again. Practice in front of the friends, people, or video recording is one of the best ways of practicing. Review what you have, how you are making a presentation. Make a mock presentation. Nowadays we have the mobiles which have the facility of recording the videos. Make a small video, maybe a part of your presentation, make a recording of that, and then it will give you a lot of inputs by your own review of your own presentation. And if it's possible, make a mock presentation in the venue. That's always the best. If you can go to the venue and make a mock presentation or part of your presentation in the venue before actual presentation, that is always a helpful thing. Then fix things that do not work. We have talked about that. Timings, punctuality, and assess how much time it takes to complete the presentations. Make a mock complete presentation and make an assessment that how much time it will take. Gets you used to being in front of the audience. All these actions will help you in making you more presentable, and you are getting used to how to be in the audience. Now, giving the presentation, only small portion comes from what you say. How you say is the most important thing. So be conscious of this. Postures and gestures. We'll be just covering this aspect in the next session. But let me just say very briefly that your posture should be very erect and gesture should be natural. You should not animate the gesture. Just rehearse them. Just for the sake of making a gesture, you are making a gesture. It should be spontaneous, instantaneous, and it should be natural. Making an eye contact, for example, we'll be talking in details about some of the things. Voice modulation is very important. If you keep on speaking in the same tone, same volume, and same speed, same tone, and same pitch, people will be, feeling little daisy, I would say. However good speaker you may be, if you are not making use of the voice modulation, uh, people have tendency to go off, and they can start. You can start knowing that from their body language. You start feeling that people are now yawning, or they are just nodding their heads, or they are closing their eyes, things like that. Then do not rush. We sometimes feel that I have less time, so I may rush through my slides. You may present a part of your presentation if you are feeling somewhere in between the presentation that you will not be able to complete all the presentations, all the slides or something like that. But do not rush. Whatever you teach, whatever you present should be done in a very gentle way. Take the audience with you as you are presenting. Then public speaking tips. Breathe deeply. This is again very, very helpful thing. Deep breathing is always helpful. Take your time. Test the microphone. We always say 1, 2, 3, 4. Go to put somebody at the back of the seats and ask him or her that whether you are audible enough. Like we did the testing in the morning, where I was trying to test some of the centers here. Am I audible? Similarly, in any presentation, in personal presentations also, see that the first benchers and the last benchers are able to listen to you properly. Do not be over loud also. Sometimes overlouding can be more dangerous. They say that it can be as dangerous as a jackhammer and can result to nervous breakness of the audience. If your audience is continuously listening you for a longer period of time, some of the audience members of the audience can feel nervous breakdowns also. So when you're in the classroom, be very sure that you test your microphone or your level of the voice, how loud or how slow you have to speak. Then keep a gentle smile on your face when you're making a presentation. But my dear friends, be very cautious about the smile. The smile is a very subtle thing. Sometimes people feel that smiling is okay, but depending on the content, depending on the nature and the subject of your presentation, if it is a very serious matter, you give smile, it is a wrong manners, wrong etiquettes. Depending on but generally you have to keep a smiling face when you are making a presentation. You should not look very, very sad all the time. Now, giving the presentation, your clothing should be comfortable and appropriate. I am being remembered of one of the presentation made by a very good professor in IIT Roorkee. I went to Roorkee recently for a program, and we invited an expert from there, and he was making a presentation. There are 2-3 things which I noted about, and we learned a lot, from his presentation skills. Number one is that he came and he shook hands with everybody in the audience. He came about 10 minutes earlier during the tea break time. His session was post tea, and he was interacting with the audience and shaking hand with everybody. Second thing, he mentioned about the clothing. He gave a very solid reason why should be properly dressed up. Normally we feel that it's okay to have a casual approach in our clothing when we come to the classroom or any presentation, to look cool. So-called nowadays we use the word cool, that I will look cool if I will not be formally dressed. No, he said that can I now, for example, I am wearing a tie right now today and a blazer here. Can I now go to a track and run a race of 100 meters with this clothing? People will laugh at me. If there is an athletic meet in the institute or in anywhere, if I go with a tie and with a blazer, with my leather shoes, people will laugh at me. He has come for the racing. Similarly, I cannot come to the classroom wearing my track suits, wearing my shorts. There is the ethics of the playground. Similarly, there are certain ethics, certain systems in the situations in which you are making a presentation. So it's always Little bit of overdressing is better than underdressing in the presentation skills. Be comfortable in your clothing. I have seen that many times we have to make a presentation in a conference. My blazer is not ready, so I borrow a blazer of my elder brother or a friend. Maybe very loose or maybe very tight. My attention will be during the presentation more on my blazer than on the presentation. So should be comfortable and appropriate. Maintain eye contact. Let me just give you small hints on that. If your audience is there, how you maintain eye contact? They say that you just look farthest person from your rostrum or from your dais and slowly turn your neck towards the left hand side, make eye contact with some of the people there, and then slowly in the middle again make eye contact with the people in different rows very gently, and then on the right hand side, and then slowly again in the middle, and things like that. And it should be so gentle that people should not notice your turning of heads and you're making eye contact. But everyone in the audience must feel that he is or she is talking to me personally. So that is the art of making an eye contact. Use notes if you need them. It's okay to use notes, but do not read from the notes all the time. Use notes to structure, to remain well within the structure of your presentation. It's a good idea to make notes and carry your notes if you need them during the presentation. Then think about when to use the handouts. If you want to give the handouts, for example, I am assuring all of you that we will be giving you handouts for this program. All the handouts I will try to email to the coordinators. You have to prepare the handouts as a background reading material, number one. Number two, find out, plan very well when those handouts have to be given. If there are activities to be done during the presentation, then you require a different kind of a handouts. But certain handouts are background reading material, which you want your audience to refer to when you are done with the presentation. So those kind of handouts should be given after the presentation. And if there are certain kind of handouts you want your audience to learn before you make a presentation, then they have to be given well in advance. If you give the handouts, let us say, as a reading material, as a background reading material beforehand, which they do not require to read during the presentation, you will find some of them they're turning their pages, or they are opening their laptops, or they're trying to load them in their notebooks, and then they start reading. They pay less attention towards your lecture. The first 7 seconds of your presentation, my dear friends, is the most important thing. First 7 seconds. What should be done about that? 7 seconds is the average length of time you have to make a first impression. Just in first 7 seconds, people make impression what kind of a person you are. If your first impression is not good, you won't get another chance. So first few seconds when you go for a presentation is very, very crucial. It takes 5 positive encounters to cancel out 1 negative encounter. If you have made 1 mistake in your first 7 seconds, you require 5 times more energy and more arguments to counter on that. So it takes 5 positive encounters to cancel out 1 negative encounter. Keep that in mind. Warming up. Ma'am was talking yesterday on warming up. She has given you some exercises also on that. It's a good idea to have a warming up. In this slide, for example, let me give you one example here. For example, when we are having a national level or international level athletics or any kind of event going on, there is always a warming up area. For running a 100-meter race or 200-meter race, the persons have to do a lot of warming up, maybe 4 times, 5 times running just before the race. So they are properly warmed up. Or even in a hockey ground, when the actual match of 90 minutes has to be played or 80 minutes have to be played, whatever time you decide about, a lot of warming up has to be done before that. For any event in sports, if the players are not properly warmed up, they suddenly put the muscles into action and the muscles pack up, and then there can be ruptures, and then the whole sport is spoiled. So warming up is very important. And since communication and presentation skills is also in skill, you need to warm up yourself before you come for the actual presentation. We'll talk about that. Helps you to relax. When you are actually making a presentation, if you are properly warmed up, your muscles will be relaxed. Your all muscles in the body and mind also. Helps you to be heard. Helps you to sound more confident. If you're properly warmed up, you will sound more confident. Now, here a small exercise I'm just sharing with you, which can help you in warming up. Deep breathing exercises. In a count for, when you breathe in, count 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing in and out. When you're breathing out, again count for 5. Then slowly elongate your inhalation as well as exhalation. Then count 6 in and 6 in out, and so on up to 10. When you reach the level of 10 or 12, depending on your individual capacity of your lungs, that exercise really helps you out. Then it is good idea to say like this sound of or close your ears and then say this gives you a very good exercise for loosening your vocal cords and warming them up. A few hums. Do some tongue twisters. Really try to articulate the words. We have talked about that yesterday also. Get faster and faster. Tongue twisters are helpful in making your tongue twist. Your tongue plays a very big role in making the in articulating or in pronouncing the words and phrases. Then yawning before the presentation is very important. This also helps you in warming up. Take a deep breath and yawn. Stretch your all body muscles, and when you take breathe and you yawn, this also helps you in warming up before the presentations. Then the tongue twisters. We have done this exercise, some exercise on that already. Unique, New York. We did that also. She sells seashells by the seashore. The shells she sells are seashells, I am sure. So some of the, if there are nowadays, you know, if you Google it out, there will be so many websites which are giving you so many tongue twisters in any language, but they are very, very helpful. Some of the tongue twisters I am just listing here, which are very, very popular also. Context of understanding. Context, and I've been repeating from the day one, context in communication is very important. We must understand the context very clearly. I gave you yesterday also about this, that we think at 500 to 600 words per minute. We can think, our mind can think, process 500 to 600 words per minute, but we speak at, on an average, 150 to 225 words per minute. Understand the gap, grab and maintain the attention so that mind does not wander. Your mind is having a capacity more than what the speaker is speaking. So you know that your audience can process 500 to 600 words, but you are able to say only 150 to 225 words. So there is a gap of about 250 to 300 words. So that gap, if you are not conscious, if you are not able to maintain the attention, the minds will start working somewhere else. So that is very important for all of us to understand. Normal attention span time is 17 to 20 seconds. After every 17 to 20 seconds, due to the gap of the mind and your the speed of your words, the attention will go somewhere else. So you have to be conscious of that and keep maintaining the attention by different stimuli. Get their attention. How to get their attention? Now, why are you doing what you are doing? You here is for the audience. To always talk in terms of the audience. Why are you doing what you are doing? You make the audience feel why they are doing certain things, and uh, what they are doing and why they are doing certain things, and then slowly and slowly you can take them to the things which you want them to do. Talk about them. You, who do you want to become? आप क्या बनना चाहते हैं? What do you want to experience? When do you want to get there? Do you have some time frame when you want to be there? You want to win a Olympics gold medal? Okay. And what is your target time? How do you think you can get there? So these are the things which can get the attention of the audience. Talks in terms of the audience. You, not me. You are more important. How do you want to feel? We will be doing, I will be sharing with you one example in which this is very aptly done. Keep their attention. Use verbal, your verbal communication, that is your vocal variety, modulation, volume, speed, pace, pitch, tone. Walk around if possible. You should go near the audience sometimes, mingle with them. Ask questions or have the audience fill in blanks. Ask questions or ask the audience to fill in the blanks, what you have just now conveyed, or maybe a small quiz imbibed in your presentation. Use a fill in blanks handouts. You can give the audience certain handouts which is fill in type, so the audience is more attentive. That at the end of the presentation they will have to do some exercise, so they will be more attentive. Starting the presentation now. Warming up is done. The attention has been gained. Now starting the presentation. Starting is the very crucial part. Be introduced wherever possible. Let somebody else introduce you wherever possible. In the classroom session, you may not be getting this opportunity, but then it's a good idea to introduce the speaker. Use attention grabbers. Establish audience rapport. In the first few seconds only, relate yourself with the audience. Develop a rapport with the audience, with the eye contact, with the shaking of the hands, by getting to their nerves. Not nerves in that sense that you are bugging them, but feel their nerves, I would say. That will be more appropriate phrase. Feel their nerves and touch them internally as well as externally. Then create a transition into your main topic. Slowly and slowly, gradually build up your topic. Make a transition. Now, what should the introducer do? Welcome everyone and create an excitement. For example, if today evening somebody is coming, or just now after my session, there is a session by Madam S.P. Bedi, it's my responsibility to welcome all of you to that session and create an excitement. How important that session can be for you, that is going to create an excitement among the audience. Then this is the role of the introducer. Then give a brief bio intro of the presenter. List the speaker's outstanding qualification related to his or her topic. The person might have done so many things in the life, but related to the topic, what is his or her contribution in the life, that can be given by the presenter, by the introducer. Then generate applause and state the speaker's name very clearly. Generate an applause. If the people are, if the audience is, you ask the audience to give a clap, and then you give the second, I now here present, or let us give it up to so and so. Let us give a warm welcome to so and so. Before that, if you just clap, people who are getting the attention somewhere else, people are busy talking to each other, they will start getting, attentive towards the presentation. Some of the attention grabbers can be start with a story. Sometimes it's good, interesting to start with a story. depending on the contents and depending on the topic, startling facts. You are making a presentation and certain facts can be given which can startle the audience, which can move the audience. Then certain quotations, then dramatic gestures. I have seen some people who are really masters of making the body language very usefully done in the presentation skills. They make certain dramatic gestures, and that gathers the attention of the audience. A rhetoric question, a joke, a reference to a current issue. Let us say if I am talking to somebody about the environment, I say today so and so has been reported in Chandigarh. So I'm talking about, let us say, water supply or the potable water quality of the potable water, something like that. But before doing that, I am making a current reference. Can help you out in that. Then outline your opportunity to talk. Get their attention first. State the problem. Present a solution. Get them to visualize it. That you can, through your presentation, you can make them visualize what is the solution which you are trying to present them. Then ask for a commitment, that are they ready now to do that, what you are asking them to do through your presentation. Ask for a commitment and give them a handout. Now example, the reality check question. For example, I'm just now sharing with you one example of a good presentation. Some of you are already familiar with the things which are happening in this presentation. Question, what is your future? Just try to have a reality check. Ask your audience, what is your future? Some people may say, thrive and live the life of my dream, or just survive and work to live. Some people may just give this kind of input on this question. Some say rely on relations or government. There can be n number of questions. So what is your future? Just a reality check on the topic which you are going to present to them. Then state the problem. So they feel that something needs to be done. State the problem very clearly that something needs to be done now. When you say that there is a problem, for example, in this sample I have taken, there is a problem with our food and eating habits. Recent studies shows decrease in nutrition value of the fruit and vegetables over the past 50 years. We say that recent studies have shown that, and in the footnote, what are those studies? We are referring to those studies also. And then we say the total real output of processed food being purchased rose 40% since 1972 in America. In India also, when we are now having the working couples, the processed people are more and more consumption of processed food. Instead of making a fresh cooked food, now we are depending on processed food, ready-made. Just bring it from the market and put it in the freezer, and when you want to eat it, put them in the microwave and we eat it. In a culture in which we are heading to, and which is already stepping, when we are having both husband and wife are working, and in America this culture has come long back. 40% increase in processed food consumption has taken place since 1972, and it is a USDA, an economic research service, said that food pyramid recommends 2.5 cups of vegetable and 2 cups of fruit per day to keep your nutrition value normal. They say that this study has said that USDA, the food pyramid, has recommended 2.5 cups of vegetable and 2 cups of fruit every day you have to consume to maintain a good body balance. So this is the problem. Who can every day take 2.5 cups of vegetable and 2 cups of fruit every day? Now the problem has been highlighted, then you present a solution. This is what to do, satisfy the needs of your daily needs of the human being. The need for the supplement. You need to supplement what you are eating regularly. Dr. Walter Willett, the chairman of Department of Nutrition of Harvard School of Public Health, said that a recommendation for dietary supplements should be included as a part of the healthy diet. So you are quoting somebody, authority on that subject, and then they say that food supplements are needed to maintain because of the decreasing nutrition value in the food, in the processed food, which is available in the freezers. Now you give them, you make them to visualize. I have given you steps already. Now in the presentation, I am just giving you sample. Give them to visualize. I can see myself enjoying doing this. One packet just 2 times per day. One packet just 2 times per day. You can visualize it. Ask for a commitment now. Yes or no. Are they ready or no? Are you ready to feel great? Ask them. Look great, live well, happy, energetic, alive, and lean. Lean is a word nowadays, is the in word, that everybody wants to look slimmer. So you are giving them a future through your presentation, that you want to look great, live well, energetic. You don't want to look, you don't want to live a very slow life, or a person who is already drained out of the energies, alive and lean. Okay. Now give them a handout. Key to the success. This is how the companies, even in the advertisement media, in the mass media, they are trying to sell their products by making small presentation of few seconds. Every advertisement come only for few seconds. They rate the problem, they give the solution, they get the commitment, and then they try to say that this is what they have to offer you. Key to the success: memorize your first and last sentences. Practice in mirror. Get yourself in the state. This is very important aspect of making good presentation. Get yourself in the state. What does it mean? It means that before you are making a presentation, you mentally get into that state. I remember of a professor who was teaching us in the MTech classes in Punjab Engineering College. Half an hour before his talk in the class, every day we used to have his class in the first morning session. Half an hour before that, he would come and lock himself, and he will do all the preparation and everything, so that he is in that state of mind, in the presentation. Focus on one person in each area. If there is a hall, one person on each area, and look. It looks like you are looking at each person. Very gently move your head, eyes from left, middle, right, and reverses. I have talked about that. Now, my dear friends, I'm just getting into very important aspect of presentation, that is feedback. Getting a feedback, it can be a formal feedback, it can be informal feedback. When you are noting down when you're taking notes, or you're asking questions, or your body language, all these things will give you a feedback. Taking a feedback of your presentation is a very important thing if you want to make it a very effective presentation. Without feedback, you might have done a wonderful thing, but without taking feedback, you will not be very sure whether the impact or whether the purpose has been fulfilled or no. Feedback can be during the presentation, it can be after the presentation also. Both are very important. Just a few seconds, of the presentation, and try to get whether the students are, or whether the audience is able to get what you're trying to say. Maybe you have to reinforce. There are certain prerequisites which are required to be dealt with. For the PowerPoint, we all understand these things very well. The merits of using a PowerPoint is they are portable, professional, can add graphics if you are using PowerPoints in your presentation. The picture is very clear, you can clearly read it, can use for the handouts also. If you're using a PowerPoint, they can be used as a handouts also. You can make a Word file or a PDF file, or as it is also. The bad points or the demerits of the PowerPoint in use of the PowerPoint in the presentation is that depends on the technology. Sometimes the technology can be failures. Then lack of audience contact. Sometimes people just keep reading from the PowerPoint and their back is towards the audience, which is not a very good idea, in fact. Then can't add to it. During the presentation, it's sometimes very hard to keep adding certain new points. Then sometimes if we are not very careful, overcrowding of PowerPoints can be very, very bad thing again. Not a very good idea to have a overcrowding of the PowerPoint. People are not able to read if it is overcrowded. Certain PowerPoint tips. Look at the audience, not at the slide. When you're making use of the PowerPoint, look at the audience and address them. Maybe you can glance over what is going on the screen, but largely look at the audience. Do not overcrowd. Pay attention to color and layout. I will be giving you some hints, some tips on what kind of colors and what kind of layouts can be used. Then print out slides. Take a print so that there is a power failure or any kind of failure is there. You take a print of that. You can refer to that, or you can structure your presentation in such a way that if the power failure is there, you can refer to the slides as notes. Then test beforehand. Always make a test beforehand. Font size and colors are important. Should be readable from the farthest person in the audience. Then spellings and grammar should be accurate. Background design and contrast. Text, graphics and animation should be appropriate. What do you want to say should be conveyed very clearly. Now, a word about the fonts. We normally recommend that Vardhana, Tohama, Arial and Time New Romans. You can see it for yourself. These 3 or 4 fonts are good enough. Bold typeface is preferred. Heading should be 36 points or larger, minimum 36 point or larger, preferably 44 or 40 point. Then the text can be 28 point or larger, preferably 30 points. Then bold is better than standard. This is the bold, this is the standard. You can see yourself also. Avoid italics. In your presentations, when you're making a PowerPoint presentation, avoid using the italics, or if possible underscore. जहाँ पे आपको italic use करना है, instead of italics, use underscore. You can see from here itself the contrast between italics and the underscore. Underscore is more readable. Enclosing in quotations marks or bolding is preferred. Even instead of using the underscore, if you enclose them in quotation marks or make them bold, is still preferred. Or you may just change the color contrast of the things which you want to highlight in your presentation. Then the colors, text and background should be of high contrast. The text which you are using and the background. Gray should be avoided as far as possible. You can see from here the gray is not a very good contrast. The background gray should be avoided as far as possible. If the background is dark, the text should be light. If the background is light, text should be bold. These are some of the good combinations for the text and the backgrounds. You can see it for yourself. Then the spellings. The very in this slide itself, the spell it right. This is a example of that. Use spell checker. Sometimes you will need to refer to dictionary. For example, lose weight or lose weight, lose change or lost change. So you have to refer. You have to refer to dictionary. Be sure what word you are using in a particular context. That meaning and the spelling of the word should be properly done. Use of graphics. High contrast, having good clarity of graphics. Then black and white lines drawings are preferred over gray scale graphics. Black and white lines are better. For example, in this background also you are having certain lines. Gray should be avoided wherever. Then text on map or figure should adhere to the large point guidelines. If you are using a map or a figure and you are putting a text over that, that should also be not less than 28 point. Then clip art can be used, but photos look more professional. You can use the clip art, which is part of your Windows or maybe the Microsoft Word. But then it is a good idea to take actual photograph. They look more professional in the slides. So see this background, a busy background. Maybe a car company is trying to making a presentation about a car company and is put a car at the background, but nothing is visible. Background should be simple, not graphical, and should usually be in one color. Gray should be avoided. I told you again and again. This is what happens in the gray backgrounds. You can see it for yourself. Animation scheme. Fly from the left. When you are making a presentation, for example, in this particular case, fly from the left is always better. Avoid flying from the top or from the right. This is in contrast, because if you are flying from the top, then this next slide is going to come. This will cover this one. People may be reading this, then the next point is coming up. And usually we read from left to right. So if your slides are flying in from right to left, that will be, little awkward to the readers. Peek from the left is good animation. Wipe right is okay. Appear, just appear, like in this case. Or from bottom is also okay. Except for appear, animation feature should always present text beginning on the left as a normal reading style and from bottom without hiding already displayed material. So you are not, if the slides are coming from left or from bottom, they do not hide the material which has been already done. Now you see in the next slide, if I bring it from top, what happens? You are covering the material which has been already done. So be very careful when you are using the animation scheme. Now flying characters or spiraling design elements should be avoided as far as possible, unless and until you are trying to show some movement in your slide which is relevant, which is technical in nature. This will be not a good idea to animate your slides. Keep it simple. Think of the person in the back of the room or the hall, whether he or she can read it or no. No more than 3 different blocks of information. For example, if you have a screen, some people make 7-8 blocks, and you keep guessing कि पहले किसको पढ़ना है, बाद में किसको पढ़ना है. Unless and until there is a flow chart or kind of thing, keep that in basically 1 block or maybe 2 blocks, at most 3 blocks. And then no more than a total of 7 individual lines of information. That does not include the heading or title. Approximately 7 individual lines, but not a very hard and fast rule, but this is just a guideline which makes a good presentation. Now a word about the flip charts and the whiteboards. If you are not using the, let us say, the PowerPoints, you may be using flip charts or whiteboards. They have certain merits also. Low technology, you do not require high investments on that. Easy to add. On the whiteboard, you keep adding whatever you want to add spontaneously. Similarly on the flip charts also. Then more contact with the audience and more interactive. You can interact. Your interaction in the flip charts in the whiteboard is more than as compared to with the PowerPoint. It's a good idea to know the good point merits and demerits. Once you know the demerits of a system, then you can overcome those demerits once you are conscious of that. If you are aware of that, then you can overcome those demerits also. The bad points in the flip charts and the whiteboards are the demerits can only use once. Of course, whiteboards can be used repeatedly, but flip charts can be used only once. So you have to rub it again if the whiteboard is there, and you rub it, you cannot go back to it. Nowadays, smart blackboards are available, so technology is helping us that also. Can't add graphics to it. For example, if I want to use this picture in a blackboard, I require my whole 50 minutes period will go in that only. Can be hard to read or see. Sometimes, depending on your handwriting, depending on the size of the letters which you use in writing or the digits, or depending on the class size, the distance, sometimes it becomes very hard for the person to read and to see. Your legibility, your handwriting, and the distance, the sizes, they can be sometimes very tricky. Flip charts and whiteboard tips. But if you are using them anyway, there are certain tips for that. Do not hide. If you are using a blackboard, we have seen many teachers. I can give a full lecture on how to make effective use of a whiteboard, but time is not permitting. But remember, do not hide. Basic principles are do not hide, and divide your whiteboard into 3 portions. Write on the left portion, in the vertically 3 portion में divide करिए अपने whiteboard को और blackboard को, and on the left hand side is reserved, left 2 columns are reserved for you. The third column is basically the inputs to be taken from the audience, or some highlighting points can go in the third column. So start with the first column, then you're done with it, go to the second one without rubbing the first one. Then once you're done with the second column up to the bottom, then you can go to the first column again after rubbing them, so that people have a time to read and note it down, important things. But in any case, do not hide. I have talked about that. Pay attention to the colors which you use there. Call ahead a check on the facilities. Sometimes you are using the whiteboard, there are no pens, whiteboard markers are not available, or the blackboard is there, chalks are not available, duster is not there. You know, small things can create a problem in making a presentation. Stick to a few key points only. When you're writing on the blackboard, I know a professor who taught us, he was an excellent professor in chemistry in DAV College, Chandigarh, where I did my pre-university in 78. He would write everything which he speaks in the classroom on the board. It's not a good idea. Only stick to the few key points should be written on the board. Rest can be shared and you can interact with the audience. Visual aids. The key, the golden rule in visual aids, if you're using visual aids in your presentation, know that you are the real star. That video aid, whatever aids or resources are available with you to make your presentation, they are not the real star. They are only aiding. They are only aiding what you want to present. You are the real star, not the stars of the show. Sometimes we depend too much on the technology. Okay, I will make this video, I will show this thing, I will do this thing, I will do that thing. People get lost into that. You somewhere take a backstage. No, it should not happen. Visual aids are only aids. They are not the presenters. You are the presenter. Now, design concepts. 3 things are very important: big, simple, and clear. If you remember these 3, whether you are using the blackboard or flip chart or the slides, big, simple, and clear. When you're designing your slides, remember these 3 things only. We have talked about this. Use the floor test. Make a slide and go to the floor yourself and go to the end, whether what kind of impression it's giving to you. 1 idea per slide. No more than 6-7 lines. We have talked about that. No more than 7 words per line. Again, not a very hard and fast rule, but then as far as possible, adhere to these rules. Then clear. Avoid overuse of red color. Many times we put the red color in our presentation, which should be totally avoided, I would say. Red colors is not visible, as you can see from here also. Shadows, animation, and transitions. Avoid, some of these things. Over transitions is very, again, distracting sometimes. See, if you have a transition like that, it can be a problem. Aerial, and we have talked about these things also already. Then contrast, we have talked about that also. See, these kind of transitions, when you're in the beginner, the student especially, or the beginner, you get, you know, fascinated by these kind of transitions, but these are only distractions. Keep it as simple as possible. Beware of busy backgrounds. Clarity के बारे में, clip art should complement to the content. Clip art should not be for the sake of adding photographs and all. It should complement what you are trying to say. Sometimes the ditto or sounds can be, you know, again distracting. Or if it needs to be, then it has to be complementing your presentation. Use a different background only to emphasize one slide. Normally you go with the same background, but if you want to emphasize, for example, in this presentation, when it came to example of a presentation, I used white background. Otherwise, throughout the presentation, it's a blue background. Now I'm going to share with you one model which is known as WHPI model. How to write, prepare a presentation using WHPI model, a unique presentation writing method known as WHPI method, which is internationally accepted model for making a good presentation. Remember what W stands for, and what H stands for, and what PI stands for. The first W stands for why. A component of why should be there, how it will help you the audience, and prove your point. This was given by Graham Jones, and he's a leading British public speaker and a trainer in presentation skills. He gave this model that you must start with the why, then how you're going to do that, then prove your point. Simple as that. So we will not go in the details of these things, my dear friends, but let me just go to some of the slides which are very important because time is approaching. But we have covered most of these things. Must prove how, and then must prove your point by different logics. Now, preparing for your presentation, check for the grammar and spelling errors. Practice your presentation. Have a plan B ready. You know, you're making a presentation, but be ready. If something fails, you have planned already in a particular way. If that particular way, a way has failed, or due to some reasons you cannot you cannot adhere to that, your plan B should be ready. Last moment you come to know that a whiteboard is not available. Last moment you came to know microphone is not available. Last moment you came to know PowerPoint failure is there. So your plan B should be ready for that. Write down your speech. Spend time in the preparation room. We have covered some of these things already. So I'm just trying to recapitulate for all of you. Look pleasant, enthusiastic, confident, proud, but not arrogant. One of the things which is very important for all of us to understand here is, the last point in this slide is, be proud but not arrogant. You cannot argue with your audience. You should not. It is again the ethics. It will not lead you anywhere. Discussion is okay, but getting into an argument, proving that you are right or somebody else is wrong, is not a good idea. Be very, very pleasant, enthusiastic, confident and all. I will share with you how to deal with the difficult situations in the presentation. Remain calm, well composed. Remain calm. Somebody trying to excite you, somebody trying to trigger you, but then try to remain calm and try to have a well composed manner in your whole presentation. At least appear relaxed in front of the audience. Even if you are not relaxed from inside, at least appear relaxed. Speak slowly, enunciate clearly each and every word and phrase which you are trying to say. Then show appropriate emotions and feelings. Establish rapport, we have talked about that. Then speak to the person farthest, so that if you are speaking to the farthest person, you understand that everybody else is taken care of. Vary the tone of your voice. Introduce yourself, body language. We'll be covering some of these things in the next slide, so I will not go in the details of some of these things. Your introduction, your body, your conclusions are very important aspects of the. Now, this slide, important tip in the presentation is speak to your audience, listen to their questions, respond to their reactions, adjust and adapt. Now, these are the five points to remember. Speak to them, listen to them, respond to their queries, adjust and adapt. If you remember this, you should be able to change your course midstream. If you find, you know what happens in the sailing, if a good sailor, he has planned a particular course, but when his ship is sailing, he finds there's sudden storm coming up. So he is not sticking to his own course. In midstream, he changes his course to reach the destination. Similarly, in the presentation, you find in the midst of the presentation that your structure needs to be modified. It has to be, certain changes have to be done. Then you have to adjust and adapt. If you are not able to do that, you may, your ship can sink. Actually, your presentation can go waste. Pauses, we have said, do not race, pause. Add humor wherever appropriate. Humor, not stare. It adds value to your presentation. Make it more lively and your attention of the audience is gained through humor. But avoid stare in your presentations. These are the rules, 10, 20, 30 rules. They say that 10 slides, not more than 10 slides, no longer than 20 minutes, no less than 20 point font. There are different rules for using the PowerPoints, but they're not very hard and fast rules. Different people have given different kind of rules. Be entertaining. 15-word summary. Summarize your whatever you have said in 15 words or something like that. Certain tips are there. The 20-20 rule is also there, which says that one should say 20 slides, each lasting exactly 20 seconds. So this is one of the rules people have found very, very useful in a time frame. Speeches are about stories. So you can always come out with certain stories, certain anecdotes which can help you. Anecdotes are always helpful in generating the interest of the audience. Don't plan just as I told you about that. Breathe in, not breathe out. Breathing in. Feeling an urge to use presentation killers like all that. We have talked about that, so I'm just skipping some of these things. Do not apologize. Too much apology is too bad in the making a presentation. But if you are wrong somewhere, do not hesitate to apologize also. Do not apologize for the nervousness. I am feeling very nervous because it is my first presentation. No. If you are late or you do not know, then you must apologize. If you are not prepared very well, there is no apology for that. Put yourself in the shoes of the audience. How would you feel if you were in the audience? Use WIIFM. What is in it for me to guide you? What is in for me to should be the principle. What is in for the audience in your presentation should guide you. Have fun. If you are enthusiastic and if you are enjoying your presentation, audience will also enjoy. Okay, we'll now know when to stop talking. You should know when to terminate a punchline and be done with it. You must know when to stop. Do not belabor. Repeat. Do not keep repeating the. Sometimes I find people close not with a clear-cut 1 or 2 lines. They keep repeating again and again the same sentences. So that is not required in the closing remarks. Thank your audience and sit down quietly. Your assignments, you are all teachers, so we are quite aware that assignments can be based on the presentation. Difference between man and woman audience. If there is a group of women you are addressing, or a group of men, or it is a heterogeneous group. If there is always a difference between the presentation styles. We normally say that men ego comes when you are making a presentation. For example, if I am making a presentation to only men, whatever I do, it is very difficult to move a man ego. So whereas the response from the women audience is forthcoming most of the times. They respond very quickly and very nicely. But I am not criticizing here the men's ego here. But this is what if you are aware of the difference between your men and women audience, then accordingly you will plan your presentation. So I am skipping these slides on the body language part because Madam S.P. Bedi is going to cover that. Some of these important things I have tried to cover already. Some tips for the to overcome the nervous breakdowns is that you try to relax yourself, develop a rapport with the audience, and do some exercise. Practice the art of pauses, avoid PowerPoint crunches. Dependency on PowerPoint can be reduced. That will overcome your nervousness also. Work on your postures and body language. Fail often. You know, if you are failing often, then you know that at the most this will go wrong. So you are not nervous then. So you must know that at most what can happen, and fail often on that. But then keep improving. Don't keep on failing all the time. We have covered most of the tips on the PowerPoint, so I'm just skipping these slides. Students के लिए, if your students have to be making the presentation, they make certain mistakes. These are 9 tips for the student to make the presentation. You can share these slides with the students. Know your topic. Student must know the topic. Use key phrases about your topic. Avoid using too much of text on the slide. Limit the number of slides. Layout of your slide is important. Avoid fancy fonts. Students do that. Use contrasting color for text and background. Try a slide design template to keep the look consistent. And use animation and transitions sparingly in classroom presentations. Normally students do not keep these things into mind. Now questions and answers. Last part of my presentation is on about questions and answers. Does anyone have any question for my answers? You can start with that. Dealing with the questions. Questions should be questions show that people are listening. First of all, do not feel nervous that people are going to ask me questions. Questioning, when people ask questions after the presentation, it means they were listening to you. Allow time to deal with them. They decide when to answer them. Then you must decide whether you want to answer them right now, or in between the presentation, or at the end, or over the cup of tea, or maybe during the lunch time, or maybe some other day. You must focus on all these things. Try and anticipate the questions. Do not be afraid to stop and think. If somebody is asking a question, you may not reply immediately. You stop, think, and then reply, then respond. Beginning of a whole new interactive presentation. It can be, it should not so happen very often that when somebody asks a question, you keep on answering for a very long answer. That itself becomes a complete presentation in itself. Many times people keep on answering the same question in a very long period. That should not happen, but it is a good idea that more and more interaction can take place depending on the time available again. Opportunity to make a point. Use question answer as a opportunity to make a point which has been missed out in a presentation. Sometimes we say that it's a good idea that you have asked a question which you might have missed out in your presentation. Most presentations are won or lost at this stage. How well you are able to handle the queries of the people will determine whether your presentation has been good or bad. Rehearse, do not rank question. Now, sometimes we say your question is better, this is a very good question, this is like that. No, we do not rank the question. Question is a question, it's just a feedback. Keep answers brief. Be honest. If you do not know, honestly say. And avoid negative words in the question. Do not repeat negative questions. Clarify question if you have not understood the question very clearly, then it's a good idea to clarify the question. Then defer to the experts. If you are not able to reply, then you can say so and so is expert in this area, or you can refer to the so and so material, or you can Google on so and so place, or things like that. Make your eyes off from the questions. When move your eyes from the questionnaire. When somebody asks a question, sometimes we keep answering that person only. In an audience, somebody has asked a question, start replying him or her, but then slowly shift to other people also. Take the whole audience in your eye contact. Do not answer the question to that questioner only, though you will focus on that in the beginning. If negative and your response focused on somebody else, if you are not agreeing with somebody, in order to avoid the argument, focus your eye contact with somebody else. What if you do not know the answer? Open it to the floor. If you do not know the answer to the question, then open it to the floor. Take it as and answer later. Repeat the question back if you do not understand. Okay? The rule is never argue with a member in the audience. This is a very important rule. Never argue with your audience. Instead, look at the questioner, remain neutral and attentive, listen to the whole question, pause before you respond, address the questioner, then move your eyes to the others. Now, easy ABC. I can't answer that question because so and so, but I can tell you. This is very easy way of handling a question if you do not know the answer very clearly. I can't answer A because B, but I can C. I can tell you C. So and so. Now, let me just recapitulate what we have covered in this session. Preparation is the key. Practice is important. Watch out for your tone and body language. Your PowerPoint flip chart is a compliment only. Do not let it take away the position of the star of the presentation or any kind of audio video aid. Questions are good, but prepare for them. Fears can be tempered with good preparation. And finally, my dear friends, enjoy yourself. The audience will be on your side and want to hear you what you have to say. If you are enjoying your presentation, the audience is going to be on your side. Technical knowledge is not enough. One must transcend techniques so that the art becomes artless. Growing out of the unconscious. Making the simple complicated is commonplaces. Making the complicated simple, awesomely simple, that is the creativity. If you make your presentation, simplify things in your presentation, that is what is most important. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, they say. Make sure you have finished speaking before your audience has finished listening to you. This should not happen. Now you can contrast it with my first slide. The goal was the audience should be giving you applause, but in this case, if you are not stopping the audience, you will find your audience sleeping. Where to next? You are now, my dear friends, after having a presentation on presentation skills, you are now ready for the making your presentations. And I like to wish you all the best. Go for it. Thank you so much. Any questions, my dear friends? These are the certain slides, which are showing my sources. My dear friends, any questions? Can we go to Chandigarh University if they are there now already? आपकी आवाज आ रही है मेरे को मैडम? आप चंडीगढ़ यूनिवर्सिटी से बोल रहे हैं? Any questions or any comments? Anything you want to add?
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, quite loud and clear.
Okay, I'm Gurpreet from Chandigarh University. My question is that you have mentioned a point that we can't use the elaborative statements in the PowerPoint, but sometimes it's not possible to, sometimes not possible that we can use the to the point statement over there. Sometimes a particular point is quite elaborative. So what should we do in that case?
I would suggest that in that case, if that subject or topic demands that it has to be fully put on the slide, do it, but do not compromise on the sizes. I mean, the sizes should not be compromised. And instead of making one slide, try to put that material into 2 or 3 slides. You may increase the number of slides, and as far as possible, avoid having a very big slide on a particular. Do not overcrowd a particular slide. Go to number of slides.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.